Welcome back, All Sports Western New York. Mike Harrington, my guest in studio, of course, from Buffalo News. He covers the Sabres, he covers the Bisons, and is coming back from a little medical setback, but you're back 100%, right, Mike?
What do they say in sports? I'm off the DL, Bob.
You're off the DL.
That's right.
Are you better than before?
I'm better than before, and no 15 or 60-day DL. Everything's fine.
You're not like Manny Pacquiao. You didn't need a shot just before you came on the show.
Didn't need the shot, no.
John DeShula refused, but no, you're here. Okay, Mike, last week you wrote an article that caused a lot of stir, especially on social media. The fact that the Sabres once again, I think you said, the fourth out of the last 6 years, fourth time in the last 6 years?
Second and four.
Second and four.
Right.
Second and fourth time that they have not had a season-ending news conference with all of the particulars of upper management to sit and discuss the season.
Well, you know, Bob, the one thing that struck me about this was every other team does it. Every other team does it in some form, whether they win the Stanley Cup, get knocked out in the finals, don't make the playoffs. And I think the Sabres just got caught a little bit not realizing that fact. Obviously, second time in 4 years is not good. The lack of transparency is not good. They felt that they did a season-ending news conference the night they fired Ted Nolan. No. I'm not going to let that one fly, because 45 minutes notice on a Sunday night when the media had already been there all day, that's not going to fly, Bob. No. And the thing is, people say, we know what the plan is. Yes, we do know what the plan is. The plan is to rebuild through the draft, through prospects, add in a couple of veterans and trades, but there's a lot of questions that go through that. And my biggest point is simply, whether they answer them truthfully or not, whether they give you partial answers or not, every other market in the NHL gets these answers for their fans through the media. Why is this market exempt when they are a last-place team that has 106 points combined in the last 2 years? A total that teams have beaten this year alone.
Well, and my question is, the Pegulas own both the Sabres and the Bills. The Bills did a season-ending news conference, even though it was Doug Marrone actually did it the day before he quit. But they did do, you know, after the last game, They came out, Whaley and Marrone came out, and they talked about the season and their needs. What's the difference between the two franchises?
Well, there's two very important points here. The first is that the NHL does not have a rule mandating this. I think I'm going to work toward that, but it's mandated in the NFL and in Major League Baseball. So the Sabres are not breaking any rule. They're breaking professionalism and tradition every other team follows. And, you know, to me, it just strikes me that the lack of transparency, and it's continued with the firing of Chad Cassidy. Not an unexpected move that they would remove the Rochester Amerks coach, but the Rochester Democrat and Chronicle wanted to find out why. No comment from the Sabres, no comment from Tim Murray. And the biggest thing, Bob, I want to make the point, this is not a Buffalo News issue. The week before the draft lottery, the Olean Times-Herald, Channel 2, and Channel 7, as far as I know those three, there could be more, all requested interview sessions with the Sabres, and they were all denied. So for whatever reason right now, you know, when we can speculate back and forth, the Sabres seem to be going into a bit of a media bunker here. And I don't even think this is Tim Murray's issue. This is not a Tim Murray decision. This is coming from above Tim Murray. I think Tim Murray, if they said, hey, Tim, we're going to go out and have a press conference tomorrow at 1 o'clock, he'd say, all right, I'll be there at 12:50, ready to go. This is not a Tim Murray issue at all. I think this is coming from the management side of the ledger above his pay grade.
And who would that be?
Well, it could be coming from Ted Black. It could be coming from, you know, the heads of the PR department. I am convinced that this is not Tim Murray going the other way on the media.
Well, I mean, Tim demonstrated that he can be frank to a fault. He did that at the lottery.
He did.
And there may be a concern, again, that why do they need to put out any more fires? They've got to just, looking at it from a corporate standpoint, let's look ahead. Let's look ahead to the draft. Let's be positive, because your general manager may say something in this session that will cause another controversy.
Well, and the thing is, though, this was a session to me that you're going to be looking ahead. You know, the tank is done. We all know they tanked.
Right.
It's over. They're going to draft Jack Eichel, but there are questions about players like Cody Hodgson. There are questions, what are they going to do with the goaltending? What are the philosophies of hiring a coach? We don't know what their philosophies of even hiring a coach will be. There are all kinds of questions about all kinds of players. Sam Reinhart, pairing Evander Kane with the center, and nothing to do with the tank. And these are legitimate hockey questions that the fans and the media want to hear answered.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the coaches, because to me this seems a little bit like no good deed goes unpunished, because you had Ted Nolan and in the case with Rochester, both teams struggling. You know, they obviously did not have the tools to compete in either of those two leagues, and both coaches were dismissed as soon as the season was over. which obviously was not their fault that the team that was put out on the ice was not the best team, maybe even available to the franchise. So what is Tim Murray's plan here? Was this his plan all along? Once Pat LaFontaine was out of the organization, Murray says, well, we know we're not going to be good for the next year, so we'll let these guys struggle with what we have, and then I'll bring in my own guy.
I think that's exactly the plan. I think from a public relations standpoint, you couldn't fire Ted Nolan last year right after the organization got rid of Pat LaFontaine. Right. But to me, I think Murray said, we're going to play a little bit with Ted Nolan and Chad Cassidy and see what we get. And if we don't get enough, I'll get my own guy. And frankly, who can argue that point? I think any general manager is going to want his own guy in there. So I'm okay with Murray removing Ted Nolan and Chad Cassidy. Let's see what happens going forward. Do they go big? Does Terry Pegula want to win the press conference and go all Rex Ryan with the Sabres and try to get Mike Babcock? Or do they just let Tim Murray bring in his guy?
Well, the thing that amazes me is no matter what they do, people still continue to buy season tickets.
Well, you know what, to me, this is a great market for hockey. This is almost a Canadian market, and I don't think the season ticket issue is going to be a problem this year. They're going to have 95% retention. I give it another year, maybe two. If the team doesn't start dramatically improving, pushing the playoffs, that's when your season ticket window might drop.
Mike, I know this is going to go back farther. Well, I think the people who watch the show all certainly remember, because my demos tend to rate a little bit older. In the 90s, season tickets were absolutely an issue with this franchise.
Sure.
If you remember back for the Regases and even through the Golisano era, there was constantly demand by the media to know what was the financial situation of the team, because many nights the arena was half empty. What have the Pegulas done differently that suddenly the Canadian market is much more interested in coming to Buffalo Sabre hockey games?
Well, there's two things. The first thing is they sell hope. Ted Black is a master at selling hope. The brochure the season ticket holders got, I have not actually seen it other than pictures. It looks brilliant. Selling the hope of draft choices, what's coming down the pipeline. Eventually, this team is probably going to win. And the other thing, Bob, is price point. Season tickets are just a flat-out good deal for the Sabres when you compare them to other markets. And even though it's a struggle here at times for people to absorb the cost, when you compare it to Boston, Toronto, so many other places in this league, the season ticket price for a Sabres ticket is just dramatically better.
Yeah. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back, talk more with Mike Harrington about the Sabres, a little bit of baseball right after this.